Welcome to the Real Generation Gap. I'm Rudy Ruiz.
I'm Fred Satilli.
And today we're going to discuss F1. This was directed by Joseph Kosinski, most notably famous for Top Gun Maverick recently. And this stars Brad Pitt as Sonny Hayes, a driver who comes out of retirement to help a struggling Formula One team and to mentor another young driver. So let's get into this one, Fred. This was your pick. I heard that this was coming out. I honestly wasn't really keen on seeing it until you had brought it up. Yeah, I've never been into like the racing and all that. It just wasn't kind of my thing. Man. And then you chose this one and you seemed surprised by that. I know that you have a background with like cars and all that. So yeah, let's start with you.
Well, this was Top Gun Maverick.
In a car.
Yeah, in a car, right. It's the same kind of thing. Super high action. The audience, absolutely, they had like a patriotic explosion. Like they had that whole that they were really thrilled with the movie. And I was too. And I was expecting to be disappointed. First of all, I love Brad Pitt and the other movies that he's been in over time. And I think that we're going to, at some point, you and I will review Meet Joe Black because it really is my favorite Brad Pitt movie. He was very young then, and he did a blowout performance. I mean, he gave a class in acting in that. He played all these different characters and everything, and every one of them killed. So I was happy to see him. And it's the typical story, you know, the old professor and the young hotshot. And it was good to see the transformation, the maturity of the young guy. You know, his ego was being reined in while his skill and ability was being increased. And after a while, he begins to understand the old guy and why he thinks the way he does and does what he does and his practices and everything. And he becomes him so much that Brad Pitt says, all you do is concentrate on driving. He said, all these other things that you do, the sponsorships and the girls and the everything, he said, that's just all noise. He says, what the fans say and what they print in the newspaper, that's all noise. It's got nothing to do with what you're doing. It's got lots of twists and turns in the movie, excellent writing. Of course, the stunt stuff and the production it's like Maverick. It's incredible how, you know, the cars crash and fly through the air, and how they do that, I don't know. It's miraculous to me. But the young actor, the young black man, he does a terrific job. The woman who plays his mother does a terrific job, and it's really a top shelf movie. It really is. And I love car movies. I saw Ford versus Ferrari, and then they had the movie Ferrari where they talked about him, and those are great movies. And when you're going to go see a Formula One thing, you're going to go back to Steve McQueen Grand Prix. The ultimate movie of that is really a long, long movie. And I thought, well, that would never be surpassed. But man, oh man, this movie had it all. All the mechanical aspects, the pit crew, and how, you know, they're having pit stops that are like 2 to 3 seconds. And they're changing everything. And Brad Pitt takes a team that is not winning at all and has no potential to win. And he goes in and he transforms the team. He tells them we're going to use different tactics. He does I always call them old Indian tricks. You know, he does like sort of forgotten tricks of the trade that are maybe a little on the edge of ethical. He says, look, if we're going to win, you know, we got to take this to a different level. We have to have combat driving. And we have to surprise them and change things up. And meanwhile, the young guy's learning. It was great, absolutely great movie. If you're into something like that, cars or you're just anything that's exciting, this is a must-see movie for me. That's how I feel.
I do agree. It checks like all the boxes, I feel. And even though it's familiar territory, we've all seen a movie like this at some point in our lives. It still somehow works. Even for me, I didn't think it was incredible, but it still works. I never found myself like, oh, here we go again, or having any of those negative thoughts. And one thing I appreciate, and maybe this is why it really works in this day and age, is I feel like more often than not now in our movies, especially when it comes to older male characters, there seems to be a big push to really tear them apart and stuff like that.
Not feminized at all, very human.
Yeah, and I love that they didn't do that with this character, and much like Top Gun Maverick, where they don't diminish, Maverick, they don't diminish Sonny Hayes in favor of these other characters. You get to see them be who they are and how. And
he really doesn't compromise.
Yeah, exactly.
He doesn't care. He'll wreck the car.
Yeah, and how their experience, and everything really does give them the upper hand. And I like, just a different mindset and attitude as well. There's one moment where, Joshua Pierce, I believe, is the young driver, where he says, I don't know, something about, all right, we moved up a position or whatever, we're good. And Sonny Hayes is just like, no, but we didn't win. Like, we have to win. We're here to win. Yeah. There is no, moving up. Like, we win or we don't. Right. And it's just a whole different mentality to kind of, the younger folks now. And he even brings up the whole, something where I'm from, they call that a participation trophy.
Right, exactly, yeah. Yeah, congratulations.
We're here to win. And I like, too, that, there's a moment where the Joshua Pierce character does something to mess up Brad Pitt or Sonny Hayes in one of the races. And I was wondering how it was going to play out. I was immediately thinking it was going to be a little more civil, I guess. But Brad Pitt just comes out. He finds him in the hallway, pushes him against the wall, right, and is in his face about, you don't do that. And I kind of like that. I'm like, yeah, man. I mean, and they're out there doing a thing that's life and death. So there's no room to make mistakes like that. And
yeah, it's great because at one point Brad Pitt says to him, "Oh, you're going to win. You're going to win." Like he was going to do something to knock out the other guy.
Yeah.
And then he's like, it's like, I'm going to win. Because he thinks the whole time that Brad Pitt's ego, that he wants to win. Because he's young and he has the big ego, he wants to win. It's like, that's not how it's going to work out in this race. You're going to actually be the one.
Yeah.
And he does. The young guy does win. Mm-hmm. And he's like, I won, but not without the old professor.
It's ultimately the team, right? It's like, you're the face of it, but it took all these people to get you there. And it's so interesting. I don't follow any racing or Formula One or any of that.
When you talk about the team, didn't you love it when the leader was there and the two of them are coming up behind? And it's like, he can only block one of us. Mm-hmm. You go low, I go high. He's got it. He can't, because usually you keep in front of the guy behind you. He can't pass you. But it's like, we got a situation here where whichever way he plays it, he's going to lose. Yeah. One of us is going to go. Be ready, because it could be you, it could be me.
Yeah.
Right? That was really cool.
Yeah.
But that's one thing I don't like about F1, and it's why I'm a big drag fan, I'm a big NASCAR fan. But F1 is so technological, so computerized. They have traction control, they have anti-lock brakes, they have these computerized engines they're monitoring the tire pressure of every tire throughout the race. That's not racing. That's almost a video game, but with a live guy, And I really, F1 is that. It's too technological. The engines have such advanced technology in it that you can't even imagine the ideas and the things that they're doing to make everything work the way it does. And I'm not against the pinnacle of technology, but there is something to be said about, taking an old Chevy and pulling it out onto a track and doing a little rub-a-dub with the other guys and, holding it to the floor the whole time and seeing what your tires will do. And I mean, they were changing tires according to all these conditions. Mm-hmm. It's like, well, these tires will stick better, but those tires will last longer. We'll have the pit stop sooner. We're going to, don't come in yet. We're going to come in. When that guy comes in, you'll cut that guy off. They're telling us in the radio, it's too much. F1 has gotten out of the reach. It'd be like if they had a beauty contest and then they had robot women. Right. It's like, well, you just, you got to have a real woman.
Yeah.
F1 is sort of really almost no longer racing. You know what I mean? It's like in the chess world when you're playing against a computer.
Yeah.
It's like, well, you're not outthinking the other guy. Mm-hmm. And I don't care for that. I like organic battles.
Well, that makes sense. And yeah, where I was going with that is, I don't follow Formula One at all. So see, like I had no idea that all of that, like you said, the technology and everything they're paying attention to, and that there's a team of 4 people at computers on radios plus the people. Like I didn't know it was that whole operation, and there's all this strategy.
It's like a team of
when
20
to
people.
change tires and what you're gonna do. And honestly, for me as someone who doesn't know anything about it, that was all kind of interesting because that's new information. I went into the movie. I'm like, okay, they're gonna drive in circles and cool.
It's road racing.
It's not that at all. There was like so much more to it, like teamwork and communication. And I do see what you're saying, how it because of that it's lost a sense of reality. Like I think the video game analogy was really good, and I love that in the end they're successful, and he goes off. He's all right. Now I'm going to go to the next gig. Drives his van to the desert, and then they're just in these little cars.
Baja
like
racing. He's going to Baja race.
How much you gonna pay, and just the idea too, like it's not about the money. Of course it always is to some extent, but for him, and we learned this about his character and with his past, that it was all about getting back to just like the love of driving, driving fast.
That was the beautiful moment, and the girlfriend, the one who was the lead technical mechanic, right, the wind tunnel girl and all that, and she's trying to prove herself too as an engineer. They said a woman engineer can't engineer these cars. It's ridiculous. So she's got her own battle going on. But he said somewhere in the movie, you don't understand, there's a moment when it all comes together and you're flying. And there's nothing else. It's a Zen moment, And then at the end of the race, when he's really winning, they said, what's he doing out there? She goes, he's flying. Like he was, everything was so perfect. Every single little thing was so synchronized. And there's something like that in music too. You get together with some guys, you're playing the songs, right? You're trying to blend, you're trying to make it really, really great. The perfect blend of everything, how loud and soft and the speed and everything. And then there are moments when the band, like when they really gel, and it sounds like a really excellently engineered recording. You're like, oh my God, this is supernatural. You're listening and that's when they're having that moment. And it's even better when it's not a song, when they're just jamming. Like 3 or 4 or 5 guys are just doing like sort of whatever they want, and it's coming off really, really well, really gelled, synchronized, and they look at each other and it's like, wow, we're really doing it. It's the moment that you live for, So that was a great Zen thing that happened in the movie. Now, I want to say one more thing about F1 that sucks, and that is that if you're a young man and you have a stock car and you go in the southeastern United States, you're 100 miles away from the next track, and you go here this weekend and you get in your tractor trailer and you take your car and you go to the next place 100, 200, 300 miles away, and you're there. And, from Michigan to Georgia, I mean, it's, all throughout. There's places, and that's what you do. F1 is like, next race is in Brazil. Then the following race is in Monaco. The following race is in Long Beach, California. The following, like, what you have to have financially to even do the circuit, like just for you to spectate the circuit. Like if you just wanted to follow F1 and go wherever they go, it's the hotels. They have when they had it in Las Vegas, there was like $1 million packages where you're there the whole 5 days. You have a hotel room that overlooks the track. All the meals are included. That's too much. I would rather go right out to Paris, California. They got a half-mile oval out there, and you come there and you eat chicken and drink soda, and you watch the race, and you see the guys, and the guy's holding up the trophy at the end, and he worked hard all week to get the car there and stuff. It means more to me. I like it better. This thing, you sort of don't know who to congratulate.
Right.
Brad Pitt, he wrecked the car. They're like, oh my God, you wrecked the car. It's like, you got to give me a better car. Yeah. It wasn't my fault. Right. You know what I mean? Good tires, certainly not great tires. Like, whew, that's a lot, right? And he puts the pressure on the engineering girl.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, you got to make the car this way. She says, well, I can't make it that way. Well, you gotta. Otherwise, we're not going to win.
And it's crazy, too, because they're talking like tenths of a second, stuff like that. If we change this little part on the car.
Yeah, you saw the spoiler go open, right? You saw it in the movie, the spoiler, like
get us a tenth of a second. But I do like that idea too. Like everybody in this room who's on this team, like everyone needs to find a way to get us a tenth, and then that'll get us to
right.
Where we're talking just a second or two.
Yeah, because after multiple laps, each one of those tenths becomes
counts.
3 seconds, and at the finish line, those 3 seconds are meow.
Yeah, right.
Meow. It's a long time.
Yeah.
When you're coming right around turn 4, or in the case of F1, there's lots of turns.
Yeah.
But I was thinking of it, oval. But what a fantastic movie. All the actors were great. The writing was great. The story was, and the twists and turns in the story and everything that happened. I love the moment where the young driver, he has a wild wreck, and his mother goes to Brad Pitt and says, like, this is your fault or something. And he says, okay. And then later he says to his mother, he goes, he told me not to make that move. Mm-hmm. And I decided to just go for it.
Yeah.
And his mother was just, so when she spoke to him, he didn't go, hey, lady, I told him not to do it. He said, okay.
Just took it.
Really cool. Mm-hmm. Really cool. So great movie, great everything about it. If we were doing the number ratings, it'd be a 10 for me. How did you feel about it that way?
Yeah, I liked it for the most part. I don't know that it's a movie I would watch again, but I will say, it is in theaters currently. I'll put this episode out very soon, so I'd recommend it. It is a theater movie very much too. I think that's part of it. Like, if you're gonna see this movie, you should see it on the big screen.
Alone.
Yeah, see it on the big screen. Don't wait for it to come out at home. Do what you want, but it's very much a theater movie, and I'd recommend it.
Okay, well, I'm glad you liked it as much as you did. Mm-hmm. And that's it for this episode. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you in the next one.